Analyze. Analyze, okay, finish. Then come to the fourth step, you need to communicate the finding. You need to write up the result, you need to make a discussion, make a suggestion, recommendation, write the conclusion. You need to put it in books lah. Thesis kan, you need to put in books. Okay, the way you write, things that you write in books, help the readers to understand your research, your findings. Okay, and then keep it in the library. You get marks and keep it in the library. And another one, your junior comes to the lecturer supervisor and things, say that I want to study about delinquents behavior. Oh, okay, you can read thesis by for example Sarah thesis, because she did about that. So maybe this junior, she will read your thesis, and then she think that there is something missing in this thesis. I want to study that something missing. So that's the questions of interest for the junior, and everyone will follow this step. Okay, everyone will follow this step. This is a scientific method. This is the scientific methods of doing research. Okay, to investigate behavior and so on lah. We'll use this step also when you want to study something related to biology and other fields of study. You will use this method. This is the very common concept of scientific methods. Okay, in using the scientific method, psychologists start by identifying questions of interest. Okay, what you want to study about. Okay, you think. We all have been curious at some point about our observations of everyday behavior. There is a lot of things that we think in our mind. Okay, for example, why a teacher is so easily annoyed. You want to know why. Okay, or why a friend is always late for class. This is what we mean by questions of interest, always playing in your mind. How your dogs understand your command. Okay, so if you want to do this once, okay, you can refer to the behavioral approach. You can look back at the research done by Ivan Pavlov. Okay, so everything comes into your lots of things lah, but this is very simple. If you want to know, ask lah, macam tu kan. But sometimes you cannot ask them easily like that, because different people will have different answer. So you want to do research on that. Okay, go on. Now you have been formulated questions about behavior. So these types of questions is about the questions of interest lah. You are very interested to study certain types of behavior. Okay, go on. Psychologists also ask questions about the nature and causes of behavior. Okay, we are not talking about the behavior itself, but we are talking about the nature. Okay, for example, the pasar malam, the night market. There are so many people in the night market. What led them to go to night market? What is the effects of night market? What is the effects of going to the night market to people physical and mental health? That might be your questions. You want to investigate the effects that night market have to people's mental health and people physical health. Okay, that might be your questions. Okay, so psychology may want to explore explanation for everyday behavior or for various phenomena, meaning that we can investigate a lot of things by using these scientific methods. Okay, so psychologists may also pose questions that build on finding from their previous research or from research carried out by other psychologists. This is this part referring to this one. Hold on, this one. For example, you finish your thesis, and you bind already your thesis. Okay, this is undergraduate, and then you apply for master. You think that, I want to study again the topics of aggression and delinquent behavior that I've done previously. You can further up. You can study. You can make an advanced study based on your previous research. But this time, I want to study, it's not only the aggressive behavior. I want to study also about the aggressive behavior and the perceived stress, for example, or mental health. I want to study the aggressive behavior and mental health among the young criminal. Okay, you add up something, you add on some another variables to make it more complete or more complex understanding. meaning that you yourself can make the study more advanced, or maybe other people can use your study to think about something in more advanced, to add another variable which they think is more appropriate, because when they read your research, they think that it seems incomplete, so they think that another variable need to add on to make the study look more complete. Okay, so that's the research question. You need to have some idea in your mind. Okay, without the idea you cannot do research. Okay, so what we can say here is that psychologists or anyone lah may produce new questions that are based on curiosity, creativity, and insight. So you produce questions based on your needs, your creativity, your perceptions. Okay. Okay. After a question has been identified, you have the questions, things that you want to. Okay, the next step in the scientific method is to identify a theory and to explain the observed phenomenon. For example, you want to study about, I want to study about the intelligence among various intelligence aspect among kindergarten children. Okay, so you need to find the theory. The best theory to identify the multiple intelligence is theory by Howard Gardner. You can use this theory, or you want to identify the process of stress. Okay, the process, the step of stress, the process of stress experienced by a pregnant mother, for example. Okay, you can use Hans Selye theory, GAS theory, okay, general adaptation syndrome theory. Or you want to study about emotions. Okay, so there are so many theory of emotion. James Lang theory of emotion. Okay, Singer theory of emotions. A lots of theory of emotion. Many more. So you need to think which theory is suitable for your research. So this is theory. Theory are broad explanations and prediction concerning phenomenon of interest. When you read the theory, you can see lots of explanation which relate to your topic. Make sure that you need to find the correct theory. Because if you think that, oh, I want to do stress, I want to do research on stress. There are so many theory on stress. What types of stress that you want to? So maybe you don't know yet. So you just read randomly the theory of stress. So by reading randomly the theory of stress, you can think that, oh, I think I want to do research stress related to study. Stress related to study and exam. Because stress related to study and exam is different from parental stress. It's totally different. You cannot use the same measurements. Okay? Okay, go on. Okay. When you look into theory, you can find some sort, like we said, framework. Each theory have their own framework. For the framework, you can see the element that they try to investigate. They try to explain. There is the elements or the variables that could explain the theory. This is the variable that could explain this theory. Okay, we have so many theory, but maybe the element in that theory is difference between another stress theory. Okay, like this one, Lazarus and Portman's theory. They talk about the transactional models of stress. Start with identifying the external stressors. If you want to understand about the stress, the things that you need to focus also about the stressor. What is the meaning of stressor? We will learn later in stress topic. Okay, and then to overcome this, maybe we need to have understand about the primary appraisal and secondary appraisal. By understanding this appraisal, which of this appraisal is related to stress and coping? Is it primary appraisal more related to stress and coping, or the secondary appraisal more related to stress and coping? So we are working based on this framework. So each theory have their own framework. Maybe this theory is from attachment theory. There are so many attachment theory. Attachment theory by Bowlby, attachment theory by Enworth. There are many people who produce the attachment theory, but in a specific way of explanations. So theory provides a framework for understanding the relationship between a set of facts or principle. There is a lot of facts here. This is childhood attachment. Facts, the variables for childhood attachment. Attachments you can see that secure attachment. Actually, attachment consists of two. Secure attachment and insecure attachment. Secure attachment and insecure attachment. Secure attachment is only one variable. Insecure attachment can be divided into two. We have avoidant attachment and ambivalent attachment. This is for childhood. It's appropriate to study for childhood. Okay. For adult, maybe we need to have these three. We have secure attachment, and for the insecure attachment, we have dismissing attachment and preoccupied attachment. These variables suitable to understand adult attachment. So you need to read theory first to think which of the theory is best to explain your research of interest. Okay, atau questions of interest. Okay, all of us have developed our own informal theory of humans' behavior. We have developed, actually, we in everyday life, we have developed our own theory, but informal because never tasted. Okay, it's based on our own opinion. Okay, this is the examples of the theory, but this is very informal. People are basically good. That is part of the theory. People behavior is usually motivated by self-interest. That is also theory, but it's very informal. Okay, no empirical, no empirical evidence. Okay, go on. Psychologist theory or any theories lah. It's not only psychologists lah. Biologists ke, chemistry ke, anthropologists, criminologists. Theories are more formal and focused. Okay, theories are more formal and focused. Theory is formal and really focused. Specific, if you want to study, for example, you want to study delinquents stress, so you need to find theory related to delinquents stress related with children's. Okay, so you need to find a specific and more focused theory. Okay, theories are more formal and focused. Theories are established on the basis of what? On the basis of careful study. When someone wants to develop the theory, the best thing to develop the theory is through qualitative research. Because when you do qualitative research, you gain the information direct from the person, from the participant, and you collect all the information, you analyze all the information. Normally, when we do qualitative research, we will use transcribed verbatims. Never mind, you don't think about that. I just share with you. You will learn about these transcribed verbatims in your master level. Okay, we will do this transcribed verbatims and then collect all the themes and then do the analysis and so on. Then at the end we can produce the theory. However, before we can publish our theory, we need to test the theory several times to confirm that the theory that we develop produce a similar answer. Okay, so when we talk about the theory, the basis is a careful study of the psychological literature to identify earlier relevant research and previous formulated theory. So to develop a good theory is to do the research. So to do the research, before you do the research and develop a good theory, you need to read a lot and understand your research of interest, your questions of interest. For example, you really want to understand about delinquents' behavior. Why people involved in delinquents' behavior? Okay, why they a lot of things you want to understand about delinquents people. What is the factor that lead them to involve in delinquents activity? Is it money? Is it family? Is it politic issues? You want to understand, so you need to read so many things for you to have a good picture about the issues of delinquents' behavior. And then you find a theory. And then you do research. And then you can produce a good theory. Okay, related to that topic. Okay, careful study, then you yourself must be expert. You yourself must be expert in that field. Like me, I'm a psychologist, for example. Okay, I cannot do research on vitamins, the influence of vitamins on, for example, the influence of vitamins on blood, on blood, on baby blood or whatever lah. Something is not related to me. No, I cannot do that research because I am not expert in that research. Okay, so those who wants to produce the theory, also someone who are expert in that phenomenon in that scenario. Psychology is general knowledge of the field. Okay, I have a very good understanding about the field. For example, like now I'm doing shared readings, okay, shared book reading. So I read a lots of things, lots of information about shared reading. I try to search lots of measurement that can be used to measure shared book readings. It's not only among Malaysian people, all over the world. Okay, all over the world. Then I can think something which of the theory is very good and how I need to conduct this activity. Am I conducting this activity? Am I need to investigate children, or I just focus on the parents? In terms of the shared book reading, because shared book reading have to be done, lead by the parents. Should I start with investigating children first, or should I start with investigating parents? We need to think that, or I think I need to start with investigating parents first. When I get the data, later I will investigate children's for the second, as a second participants, kan? So you yourself has to be expert in that field. Okay, hypothesis. Okay, we have the theory, then the hypothesis. Hypothesis is a prediction. You make a prediction stemming from the theory and must be stated in a way that allowed to be tested. Hypothesis can be tested. For example, like I said just now, kan? Is that maybe you want to study about aggressive and aggressiveness, aggressive, for example, hold on, aggressive among delinquents among delinquent juvenile. Okay, so you have several subscales of the aggressive. We have physical aggressive, sexual aggressive, psychological aggressive, verbal aggressive, and hostility. So you want to see, is there a significant relationship between physical aggressive and sexual aggressive? That is what we call hypothesis. You make an assumption, and that assumption can be tested, meaning that you have the measurement to test, to understand their physical aggressiveness. You also have the measurement to test their verbal aggressiveness. Then later on you can get the scoring, and based on the scoring you can interpret the result, the data. So it can be tested. That's the hypothesis. Okay, tak faham, you don't understand, it's okay, just listen. To test a hypothesis, researcher must formulate an operational definition, meaning that you need to define all the keyword in the hypothesis. For example, I want to test about aggressiveness among delinquents juvenile. So my hypothesis sounds like there is a significant relationship between physical aggressive and sexual aggressive. So I need to give the operational definition. What does it mean by physical aggressive? What does it mean by sexual aggressive? We must be clear in terms of the definition for each of the keyword. Then we can develop hypothesis. Then we can test. Okay, and this is the meanings of operational definitions. Operational definition is the translations of the hypothesis into specific testable procedure that can be measured and observed. There is a measurement that can be measured, that behavior. Okay, this is the examples of theory. This is related to the behavior, the stress, exam stress, the behavior of exam stress. Okay, this is the theory. For example, people often deal with exam stress in many unhelpful ways, such as ignoring the problem, not revising, because they think that they will do badly anyway, and missing the exam. You don't have to take the exam, okay, due to the anxiety that they are feeling. This is the theory about the attitudes toward exam stress, for example. And what is the best hypothesis? How we can develop the hypothesis based on this theory? This can be the hypothesis. There is a significant relationship between attitude and exam stress. You think that you need to create this one, because this is things that you want to answer in your research. So based on this theory, when you read this theory, I think that based on this theory, I can see the difference of the attitude. So my hypothesis will sound whether there is a significant relationship between attitude and exam stress. This is your assumption. This is the hypothesis. Okay. This is the example. Give me 5 minutes, then you can left. Whoever want to left, then it's okay. Okay, this is the study that had been done by my previous student long time ago. He wants to study perceived stress and parental stress among hearing parents with hearing impaired children. Look carefully. The title is long but very clear. The first thing he wants to study about perceived stress. The second thing he wants to study, the second variable is parental stress. Who is the participant? Participant is the parent, the hearing parent with hearing impaired child. Meaning that this participant, this parent, they have children with hearing impaired. This is my participant. This is the variable that I want to test. Okay. I developed the research question. My student developed the research question. This is his research question. What are the levels of perceived stress? First, he focused on perceived stress. Second, he focused on parental stress because he had two variables. And then based on his reading, he found that perceived stress is different. People who have perceived stress different between parents who have young children and parents who have who have infants children and who have young children. Okay, so because of that, he separated the age of the child because this is what he found in the previous study. So that he developed what are the levels of perceived stress between parent with hearing impaired child for the age of 0 to 3 years old and parent with hearing impaired child for the age of 3 to 6 years old. He separated the parents based on the child age because that's what he found from the theory and research. He did the same for parental stress. Okay, that's the research question. That's things that he wants to identify. This going to be the research objective. In USM, you need to have two types of objective: the general objective and the specific objective. For general objective, you need to follow the title lah. For example, the objective like sound to identify and examine perceived stress and parental stress among parents with hearing impaired child. This is your objective. You want to identify and you want to examine. Identify, you need to use descriptive analysis. Examine, you need to use analytical analysis or inferential analysis. There are two ways of analysis. Okay, don't worry. Okay, this is the specific objective. Specific objective is that you cannot combine. You need to put it separately. Then you put to examine, meaning that you want to test. You want to test the difference. When we put the difference, so we know that what types of analysis that we are going to use. Because if we put the word different, we are going to use analysis like t-test and ANOVA. If we put correlation, we're going to use Pearson product moment correlation, Spearman row correlation, or maybe we can use regression. It depends. The way you put on your objective determine the analysis that you are going to use later on. So to examine the difference of perceived stress among parents with hearing impaired child for the age 0 to 3 and parents with hearing impaired age 3 to 6. You do the same. I do the same for parental stress. This is my objective. Okay? And this is my research hypothesis. I do it part one by one. First, I focus on the perceived stress and then I focus on the parental stress. I test one by one. Because I want to do on parents, parent consists of mother and father. I need to separate it. You can see how the scientific method look like. So here, my first hypothesis, this is my assumption. There is a significant difference between mother and father with hearing impaired child for age 0 to 3. I use the same hypothesis for age 3 to 6 years old. I want to see, is there a significance between mother and father or there is no significant difference? Okay, when I put a significant difference, meaning that I'm going to use t-test because it's only single variables. Okay, mother and father, so I can use t-test. I did the same thing for parental stress. This is what we meant by hypothesis. You can combine both of them, but you cannot use t-test. You need to use ANOVA if you use more than two variables. Okay? Hold on. I think we stop here. Thank you. Oh, I go very fast. I'm scared that you don't understand. Can you understand what I'm saying just now? Can you have some idea? Can or cannot? Cannot, doctor. It's difficult. What is ANOVA? Okay, don't ask that question yet. What is ANOVA? You will learn that in year 3. Okay, that is types of statistical analysis. It's a little bit difficult, but never mind. Computer will do it for you. Okay, thank you very much. If you don't understand, don't worry. Don't ever worry. Okay, we continue next week. Okay, we continue next week. Don't ever worry. Okay, I'll put on the slide, the notes on the e-learn, then you can refer. Okay, if you don't understand next week, you can ask. Okay, anything that you want to ask, also you can just write in your WhatsApp. I will reply.